Welcome to this presentation. In this webinar, we will give you some insightful tips to stay on track with your health goals during the winter months. We all know that colder weather can inspire us to sleep in, and let's face it, with all of the cookies and candy and treats that bombard us from every direction this time of year, it can be really difficult to stay on top of our health quest. And then there's the built-in excuse called January 1st, where we promise to start over. And that statement can help us rationalize pausing until then. And yet the challenges are just getting started. This time around, we're going to give you 7 hacks to stay healthy during the winter months, and we encourage you to try them too. The first tip is don't run in the wrong direction. Most of us see January 1st as the reset, and there's nothing wrong with a reset to start out the new year. The problem is when you compound your issues by digging yourself deeper into a hole that you had to eventually climb out of. Think of it like this. You're on the starting line of a race for a healthy life that starts on January 1st, and you have 2 options. You can hang out around the starting line and wait for the gun to fire, then start running, or you can run in the opposite direction, running farther away from the starting line. So when the gun goes off, you have even further to run in the race. So step 1 is not running in the opposite direction. This means you can't skip all of your workouts and eat badly and give up until January. This is you going in the wrong way and will make the task of starting over on January 1st that much more brutal. Instead, do what you can to tread water and hang around the starting line. One bad meal doesn't ruin things. One missed workout isn't the end of the world. If you have an awful day, get back in the fight. But you're human, and life happens. What should not happen is missing 2 days of exercise in a row, or eating 2 bad meals in a row, or having 2 bad days in a row. This is because one bad day can feel like a speed bump if you're trying to get healthy. So get back on track right away and there's no problem. However, missing 2 days in a row is like turning that tiny speed bump into Mount Everest. If you miss 1 day, no problem. Just act like it didn't happen and get back on track. But once you miss 2 days in a row, you're 60% more likely to fall into a multiple week hole. And we've all been there. 2 days very easily become 3, which easily becomes a week, which easily becomes, I'll wait until January. That's running in the wrong direction. So the goal is to aim to never ever miss 2 workouts in a row. If you miss a workout on Monday, exercise on Tuesday and get right back on track. If you eat pie for lunch, make yourself a healthy dinner. Do that and you'll be fine. So whenever you have a bad day or do something against your plan, you need to start over right away and make the next day the best day you possibly can. The goal is to make healthy behaviors a habit. Let's face it, you're probably going to eat a lot of decadent food in the upcoming months. I know it, you know it, so we can do one of 2 things. We can pretend like it's not going to happen and then be surprised and beat ourselves up when we put ourselves in a food coma and go on a calorie-induced bender. Or we can be smart about it and negate the impact these days have on our waistlines. Better yet, we can make these additional calories work for us. For starters, our metabolisms aren't that smart. Our weight will fluctuate based on total calories consumed over many days, not after one power bomb of a meal. So our tip number 3 is think about skipping a meal here and there. So if you know you're going to eat a monster lunch and dinner, eat a light breakfast and a light lunch the next day. The calories will average out in the long run. Or if you're willing to dig deep, you can skip breakfast and maybe lunch before your biggest meal of the day. This is called intermittent fasting. And it's what a lot of people in the wellness world do to stay on track during the weeks that they know they're going to be eating poorly. Even though I think breakfast is an important meal of the day, I think you'll find that missing a meal isn't the end of the world. In fact, it can lead to a healthier lifestyle for the right person. Now, I get to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is exercise. Muscles need to be sorted into one of 3 houses. Burn as energy, store as fat, or rebuild muscle. The extra calories you eat over the holidays always goes towards store as fat unless you give them a really good reason to head to the Build Muscle House. You need to give them a reason, and that wonderful reason is strength training. When you strength train before a big meal, the muscles you trained are broken down and need to be rebuilt. And here's the amazing part of strength training. Over the next 48 hours, many of those extra calories will be diverted to rebuilding stronger muscles instead of becoming fat. Try a strength training workout just a few hours before a holiday meal. Then proceed to eat with everyone else. While they are all moaning and saying, "I am so full, I ate too much," you'll know your calories are being used to rebuild muscle. And don't forget, you don't have to go to a gym. You can do an effective strength training workout with your own body weight. We all just need to work smarter. Our tip number 5 is not to rely on motivation, because motivation comes and goes. And let's face it, you're probably not going to want to work out this holiday season, so relying on motivation isn't going to cut it. The amount of motivation you'll need to get over these obstacles can be massive for some people. So don't force yourself to try and dig deep and just work harder and feel guilty when you're not motivated. So instead of motivation, build fail-safe measures to make sure you're staying healthy. Perhaps you can schedule your workouts in your calendar or set up alerts on your phone so you're reminded. Or maybe you can recruit a buddy so you can check in on each other. The problem with winter and the holiday season is that it makes the unhealthy options an easy choice. We have this tiny voice in our head steadily nudging us to pick the path of least resistance, like choosing pizza or fast food and skipping workouts, and we can't let that voice win. So instead, start by having a backup plan and be prepared. Have a place in your house or apartment that you can exercise. And don't forget about YouTube videos. There are some great ones out there. It might mean investing in a door frame pull-up bar or a yoga mat, but a small investment for maintaining momentum through the winter is worth any amount of money. And don't forget about food. Perhaps you can have healthy meals in your freezer that have already been prepared and ready to be heated up. We all make horrible decisions when the fridge is empty and we're hungry. The sirens of apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats beckon us to call them for a 30-minute delivery. Be creative and see what works for you. You might consider some things like having meals in your freezer that are ready to go, batch cooking healthy meals for the week, storing steam fresh veggies for emergencies, and if you use delivery apps for meals, perhaps you can delete them from your phone, even if it's just for a couple of months. Do what you need to do to make it more difficult to make the wrong choice. And now, our last tip of the presentation, and this is where it gets a little tricky. So many people put their hands up if they're having a hard time sticking with a healthy routine. Winter is a problem not because people eat one bad meal or miss a few workouts, but because these behaviors can quickly set off a chain reaction, justified by the fact that if folks can't do something 100%, they opt for 0%. But remember, every little bit counts. Training for 15 minutes today instead of 20, then great. Doing a few yoga poses instead of doing a workout for an hour is a win. And don't beat yourself up if you ate pizza at the holiday party because it was the only choice and you didn't have a great breakfast. This does not mean your winter is ruined. 80% effort is still better than 0%. Every little bit counts. Every small change counts. And remember, small victories add up. So maybe you can swap one cocktail for one glass of water, or maybe you can do 5 push-ups as soon as you get out of bed. And if you don't have time for a full workout, do half of a workout. If you have to eat from a drive-thru, no problem. Just order a water and grab some fruit as your side. And there you have it. With a few tweaks in your life and behaviors, together we can brave the winter. And while you don't have to follow all 7 tips, Even just adopting one or two might help you build some momentum between now and the new year. We're passionate and committed to everything we do. We're so honored to have you on this journey with us, and we promise to support you every step of the way. Thank you so much for watching this webinar. And as always, if you need any additional help, contact the Wellness Department with the info on this slide.